Hello again, and it's time for another project. Today we're going to route out this little welcome plaque with a little baby turtle thrown in on the left hand side. Now originally I was just going to do the turtle and cut him out, and that would have been the little project nicely finished. But then I saw this bit of space obviously on the right hand side. Now this wood is already broken like this. This is just the way I got it, an old piece of scrap wood. So I thought we might as well use that as well. I've left it rough like that just to show you. Obviously once we've transferred this on, the good old way for me is to pop your carbon paper underneath, literally draw around it. Takes a matter of minutes to draw around that, and then you can use that template over and over again. Remove it from the wood, and that's our nice little image that's ready for routing out. And I'm going to do exactly the same with the template for the welcome sign. We'll have that on there with the carbon paper underneath. Place that where we want it, put a bit of tape on, and we'll draw around that exactly the same way. I'll do that off camera because it's just boring stuff, but I just want to show you the difference between sanding that down. Take a bit of time. It's really lovely wood, only cheap fencing panels these, and that's the before and after. And obviously the back, you can see the state of that wood. So it's rough and ready when you get it, but it's really cheap to purchase. I actually get this for free, this little bit, and it came broken up like that. So I'm going to use that to my advantage. Literally just cut that down, we'll pop that in there, and then we'll sand this down and make it look like a driftwood kind of effect, and make a nice overall sign. Once we've routed it out, put in our paint, sanded it down, and thrown a bit of varnish on. Okay, I'll go and throw this on here now off camera, and then come back when we're ready to do our routing. Right, you can see from that, I sanded the rest down, I put the same carbon paper underneath, and we've drawn around it. Now you can use these templates over and over again. If you're really clever, you could glue that straight to the wood and just route over the top of the paper. I've tried it once, I won't do it again. Okay, there's our actual sign. Now, with it being a turtle, it would have been nice with to the beach or beach hut. I'm just going to go a bit crazy and put a turtle on with a welcome sign. And why not, I say. There we have it. It's just fencing wood, remember, just rough scrapping. It's already broken up at this corner, but we've sanded it down nicely. And before we know it, as we go around, we'll take pieces out and just make it a bit more driftwoody and well-worn effect. Okay, always for me, for the routing out area, I'll go around all the line work with these little CNC bits. They come in different degrees, 15s, 20s, 30s, even down to a 10, I believe. They do come with a small shaft on them, a Dremel size shaft, so that will fit in a Dremel by itself if you're using one of the Dremel router attachments. As mine's going to go into a router, I'll need what they call a collet, and that's just simply a little tube like that, with a couple of splits in, and that clamps onto there and makes that a 1/4 inch now. That will fit your router, no problem whatsoever. So we'll use that, we'll set it to a nice depth that we want on our little depth gauge. You can purchase depth gauges. I normally just have a piece of wood like that, and I'll find one that looks happy enough for me, and we'll set it, the router over the top, and set it to the depth we want. Whichever is easiest for you guys. Once I've gone round with the CNC bit, I will use this for most of this turtle because it's quite small, so I literally just route this out, little areas like that. Once I've gone all the way around, I'll pop on these mill ending bits. These come in various sizes. The really small one, that'll break as soon as you put it in the wood. Don't be worried about it. They have the same size collet on, 3.175, so we will literally remove the CNC bit, pop that on like so, and then I'll use that to remove all the inset of the lettering. Nice and easy. Like I said, there's better bits out there, profile bits, 60 degrees, V grooves, 90 degrees. The list and the price goes on and on and on. These are all nice, cheap, basic tools for somebody that's maybe just setting off and they don't want to go out and spend silly money on basically bits that would do exactly the same thing. Okay, let's set our little CNC bit up in the router, and then we'll start routing this one out. Okay, you can see from that most of that is coming out with the CNC bit, and that's fine to do that. I would be quite happy to use the CNC bit to do all this and clear all this out, because the wood's so nice and dry. It's coming out really easy. So bits like this, just leave your CNC bit on like I've done there, and that will clear out really nice. But we'll leave it for now and we'll put on the mill end bits just so you can see them in use. But most of this one I will just do with the CNC bit. Right, we've removed all our little turtle bits. Now they come out fairly well. That was all done with the CNC bit. Like I said previously, we could have left it on and done all this exactly the same. But we've got our end milling bits, or mill end bits, so we're going to use them, and that's literally these ones here. Now I picked out a size that I know will fit in between these letterings. And we're just going to pop that on and replace the CNC bit, which we're going to take out now. So that's one we use for the lines, remember. We'll just pop this into the same one. Pop that in our router. We'll set it to the depth. We know it's there. And we'll just clean out all these letter ones. The turtle's obviously already been done. But if you're happy enough, you could go in there and clear out. But it looks good enough as it is. Okay, let's clear out this lettering next then. Right, you can see from that, we've gone all the way around with the mill end bits. That's cleaned out nicely. And I skimmed over a couple of those, just to make them a bit better for putting the paint in. And I do a general little sanding over, just a little bit of tidying up, bit of sandpaper like that, and a general just clean out a little bit. And on this fencing wood, I've never had any real issues, but just before we put the paint on, you could do with some wood sealer. I've never used wood sealer myself. I've only ever sprayed on this sealed protects. Said it seals, and that's good enough for me. And we're just going to spray this over first. We'll let it dry, and what that will do, hopefully, will seal inside the freshly cut wood in between these letters. Because on certain woods, I do a lot of pine, and I can't say I've had a lot of issues, but no doubt somebody will prove me wrong. It's when you put your paint in there, imagine your wood being made like straws put together, and you've cut them straws in half. As you put your paint into this routed out area, the paint will bleed into the side walls on both sides. Not always, depends on the wood, depends on your paint, how thick, how thin it is. And then when you come to sand it all off, instead of getting a nice crispy line, you'll have areas that are bled in like that with the paint. and it just doesn't look so nice. I've never had a lot of issues with it, but to be safe, you can purchase proper wood sealer, or like I just said, I'll just spray this on, or any polyurethane, anything that's going to make a seal, just to say you've given it a go. Right, we sprayed on a bit of sealant. That's all nicely dry. And hopefully that might just stop a bit of bleeding into the sidewalls. Just cheap, nasty fencing wood, remember. So we're not going to get something overly fantastic. But it's a scrap piece of wood at the end of the day. If I didn't use it, it'll get chopped up and end up in the bin. So, painters touch paints. You could use acrylic paints. People like to spray these. You could spray it easily with black paint of any description. I'd rather just paint. It's just something I've always done. And so just dab it on. This paint's a bit old and I'm down to my last bits with that. It's just a case of getting your black, and we just go around and fill this all in like so. Then when it's nicely dry, we'll skim over the top with a sander, and hopefully you'll just leave this all nicely behind. Same with him, we'll do exactly the same with the turtle. Okay, we get the general idea. I'll continue with this and then come back when we're ready to sand it down. Right, that's nicely dry. We've brushed in the best we can. Not too sure about this paint. I think it's a bit out of date, to be honest, but we'll see what it's like once we sanded it off. So, mouse sander, orbital sander, any sander you like, and we're just going to sand it all down. And once we've cleared away the dust, hopefully we'll have some kind of lettering and a nice little turtle in the corner there. Right, that's all sanded off. I've not blown the dust off yet. We're going to leave that for the grand reveal in a minute. What a problem I had getting that paint off. I don't know if because the paint was so old and out of date. It might have even been that spray stuff I put on. I just don't know what it was, but I struggled. I started off with a little mouse sander. That would normally get it off. I just don't know what it was. Then I went on to the big boy. That worked in the end, but that's quite aggressive, so you don't want to skim it off too much if you're only doing a fine routing in, because you'll lose most of your effect. But we got away with it. And I also made one of these up. That's literally the end pieces that come with the sandpaper underneath here. Just fastened them to a normal drum thingy, and as that spun round, I had to use that in the end as well. I struggled a bit, but we got it in the end. But yeah, the big belt sander, that was the one that sorted it out. So we're just going to blow all this off now. With my router, I have a little compressor attached underneath there. That's just a case of finding the foot pedal, and you can see from that. So we'll clear this off now. Right, we get the general idea. I'll give that a brush off outside, and then we'll come back when it's time to spray on a bit of sealant of some description. Right, that's it. This little project is finished. We sprayed 3 or 4 coats of our spray on. Just give it a little bit of protection and put a nice shine on it. As you can see from that. Now, it's not one of my better projects, I must admit. But it's only scrap wood at the end of the day, so we've not lost anything. I put a couple of holes in, one at either end there, just for hanging it up. And that's it. Just a little welcome plaque, just to use up some scrap wood. 21 inch by 6 inch routed out welcome sign with a baby turtle. Thank you very much for watching.